Throughout Cave Story, we get to meet tons of cool and unique characters ranging from witches, robots, all the way up to good and evil scientists. One of the more iconic character types we see are the Mimiga. Now, don't let their familiar look confuse you, as most of these Mimigas each carry their own personalities and looks within themselves. Today, I'm finally happy to say that we'll finally be making the Mimiga video. I will say that I've tried making this video before plenty of times, with the script revolving around every Mimiga, but sadly we won't be looking at every single Mimiga today. Instead, I'd like to make a video on a deep, extensive look at the Mimiga as a whole. We'll be talking about what can they do, how they act and survive, different Mimiga types, all bundled in this little video just for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some Mimiga. The Mimiga are an endangered, small, rabbit-esque creature with white fur that are natives to the island. They're portrayed as small and weak, but with a notable ability to jump above average distances, and the ability to speak languages with humans. Their existence as a whole is interesting, as Mimiga must follow rules in order to live their lives peacefully and safely, as they are also incredibly sensitive to many threats to the island they're native to. The biggest rule throughout the game is that, upon consumption, red flowers make Mimiga become a larger, stronger species separately known as Ravil. Ravils are violent and irrational and lose all sense of who they were. The only known way to turn Mimiga back into their former selves is through death. Cave Story fans might already be quick to say that there are already a handful of Mimiga who break the rules we've set up so far, but for the most part, most Mimiga fit the setup rules. Okay, so now that we've set up what the Mimiga are, it's important that we discuss their alternate forms, the Ravil. Ravil are the result of Mimiga consuming red flowers. As mentioned before, Ravils lose all sense of who they once were and cannot be changed back by normal means. Ravils are also insanely powerful with little to nothing being able to stop them. The only limitations to Ravil transformations is their own self-care, with the only known point of return being killing the Ravil in its tracks. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty and case-by-case basis because that's what we're here for, let's be honest. The rule for eating red flowers being dangerous for Mimiga only comes into play when red flowers are eaten raw. In fact, a very important Mimiga has been confirmed to have eaten red flowers and stay as a Mimiga, this being King. Yes, King has confirmed eaten red flowers before by Daisuke Amaya himself, with King's workaround simply being that he cooked the red flowers before eating them. Daisuke also goes on to state that King ate the red flowers purely for the boost in strength, possibly as an act done after Arthur passed away to protect the village. Some fans even theorize that Arthur ate the red flowers as he was notably the strongest of the Mimiga, so maybe eating red flowers is part of a ritual that the number 1 Mimiga must go through. The second, most simplest rule breaker is Chaco. Mimiga are a bit notable for having white fur, but Chaco is very clearly purple. It is also possible that Chaco has dyed her fur though. After all, she is the only Mimiga known to wear makeup. Rather than rule breakers, we do have some pretty notable specific cases for the Ravil. I do want to give a massive spoiler warning, so for those who just came for fun Mimiga lore, go ahead and turn back now. For those who have beaten the game, let's go ahead and dig in. The two Ravil rule breakers are obviously Igor and Toriko. First off, let's look at Igor. Igor comparatively looks a lot bulkier compared to other Ravil and has gained the ability to breathe a damaging energy from his mouth. Where this ability comes from is unknown. We also have to talk about the Ravil on the balcony. I'm unsure if it's ever been confirmed to be the same character, but we see a Ravil very similar to Igor on the balcony. If it is a different Ravil, then we know Igor and this Ravil went through the same procedure, or at least a very similar process. If it is Igor, however, then Igor does have the ability to transform back into a Ravil even after defeated and reverted back to his Mimiga state. This would open a whole plethora of theories that I won't cover here, but is something interesting to note. Next, we have Toriko, who also gained strange abilities. Toriko's new abilities come in the form of being able to summon enemies on command by throwing stones. This ability I actually do have a theory for. While it is unknown what kind of process Igor went through for his transformations, we do know what Toriko has gone through. Toriko was kidnapped by Balrog and Misery by mistake and was subject to various types of magic from Misery. notably the bubble spell and the summoning spell. Maybe being exposed to Misery's magic has had a lasting effect on Toriko that came out during her Ravil transformation. I mean, even Misery is able to summon creatures at will. I feel like this will never be confirmed, but it is definitely some interesting food for thought. And now, we don't really have rule breakers, but here's some more interesting Mimiga cases. Obviously, we gotta talk about Sue. Sue is not a Mimiga. She was just transformed into one, and there's lots of questions that can be asked about how true to a Mimiga Sue is. While the answer is never directly given, we can determine that she's quite different from other Mimiga. When Sue gets possessed by the Doctor, we know that the Doctor is using the same power of the Red Flowers has on Mimiga. So possessed Sue could possibly also be Ravil Sue, but this would lead to more questions than answers, such as why the sudden ability to fly, tackle, and the ability of permeation, etc, etc. We also do have the curious case of Arthur, who we know extremely little of. Arthur is a massive enigma in the Cave Story universe due to how little is known about him. We know that Arthur was Toriko's older brother and the defender of Mimiga Village who loved everybody. Arthur was incredibly strong, and Jack tells us that Arthur even fended off the Red Ogre, which is an amazing feat for Mimiga. Like I mentioned earlier, it's theorized that Arthur had eaten cooked red flowers just like King, but it's also possible that Arthur was just naturally this strong. I wanted to make an entire video dedicated to Arthur, but sadly, there really is just so much little known about him. Maybe we can turn it into an Arthur theory video one day, but no promises at this time. And that's it. That's the Mimiga video. I originally wanted to talk about every single Mimiga in the game, but felt that wouldn't really be enjoyable. If I was wrong though, please let me know. I will gladly talk about every single Mimiga. I'll make an entire video dedicated to Kenpachi, don't tempt me. But until then, Nerdieo is out.